What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Podcast News, and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And once a month, I host the only online broadcast dedicated to fathers and dads that is sponsored by Dove Men Care, only one in the world, and it's also co-sponsored by Dad Central Canada's national fatherhood organization. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Wow, it's December 23rd, and I know some people that haven't started their shopping yet, but they're saying, oh, this year with COVID and all this. I go, okay, but you know what? Someone said to me the other day, I called him up, and he's a great, enthusiastic person. He said, every day that I wake up is the greatest day in the world. So I think that message really stuck out to me. But Stagger State of Things with Alicia K. Staggers and Jill Jones, they are ready to rock tonight. They, I was saying before we went live, I said, ladies, I'm glad we're doing this because just in the last 48 hours, there has been so much stuff gone down in America that I said, my goodness, we've got to get them on. So let's bring them on. Here we go. Here they are. Hey. What's going on? What's going on, ladies? And the family's jumping into the house too.
Yeah.
The family is here. Yeah. So thanks for everyone who's watching. Ladies, how's the holiday season so far?
Okay. Not bothering me.
Yeah.
You know.
Me either. I already gave my daughter her Christmas gift. I was like, let's just do this.
All right. And
we did this today.
All right. And some of the core is here. Some of the fam. Real Dango's here. Black Beauty's in the house already.
Yeah.
So you know it's gonna be fire if they're here and you ladies haven't even broke it down yet. You haven't broken it down yet.
I know.
Here. Like this is gonna be another epic conversation. So it may be Christmas season, but some people are giving out coal. So let's start our first.
I'm giving out coal this year.
Are you?
I'm not really doing Christmas this year. I mean, celebrating as far as, but gift giving, I've forbidden everybody to give me gifts. I'm not giving gifts. I think that I can't. And even if they did get the stimulus money, I wouldn't want anyone stressing to give a gift. You know, stay alive. That's the gift.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, stay safe because with this guy, we got 28 more days. You don't know. You might need that money for a plane ticket somewhere. So I'm like, hey, let's not count our chickens before they're hatched.
Oh my goodness. You want to add to that, Alicia, before we get getting after it?
I went retro. My daughter, because I collect albums, vinyls, 45s.
Oh.
Yeah, nice. a lot in the Motown string. I got my Tina Marie's. I collect my Prince and Prince protege. So I've got, I got my Jill Jones albums, vinyls, 45s. I've got a lot of Jill Jones stuff, so that people probably can't find.
Stuff I don't I don't own one thing.
Yeah.
Actually,
I got like Jill Jones 12-inch mixes of stuff.
What?
I got a few that people gave to me,
G-Spot, Mia Boca, 77 Bleecker Street.
No.
I've got some good things with Jill's. And so when I started that, my daughter started watching me, and my daughter's a huge Michael Jackson fan. And she's like, oh, I'd like to do that. Because I even started getting some things on cassette because I have a cassette player, CD player, USB.
Hold on. What did you say you have?
Cassette player.
It's a cassette, USB, CD player, record player in one. Okay,
offline, you got to picture that and DM, and we may show it the next program.
So true.
Yeah, so I got my daughter a Walkman and some old Michael Jackson cassettes.
Hold on. Cool. A what?
A Walkman.
Oh yeah, I mean, Walkmans were selling this year. I think I do.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. So I got her a Walkman. I got her a new Walkman. They're not expensive. They're like $20. Got her a new Walkman, and then I went and found some old Michael Jackson. I found some old Michael Jackson cassettes.
Action figures. Did they make me an action figure?
Lord have mercy, Django. Lord, why did I know it was going to be trouble? But you got in right quick.
I know. Gosh.
Well, you know, and vinyl is making a big resurgence.
It has.
And you know, actually, go ahead, Aisha.
Yeah, but no, I've actually found things that people really just have a hard time finding, or they're really expensive when people go to look for them. Like I found the things with Jill's that I actually found them and bid on them really inexpensively. Like I got a first issue copy of her album. Like people were selling it for like $200-300, and I just kept shopping for it, and I found it reasonably priced.
I know. That's why I won't pay for it.
Yeah, I actually found it for under $20 from somebody who didn't know what they had.
That's a good deal. Always.
Well, actually, one of the best vinyl deals of all time for me, anyways. Many years ago, there used to be in downtown Toronto, there was a record shop called Vortex Records. It was a huge record shop, had mint stuff. I remember one day going in there, and they had the, I guess, the rows of, and then on the ground they had milk crates of albums you can get.
Right.
Well, one day I went in there, and I'm going through one of the milk crates, and I see this album that is all black.
Oh, the Black Album.
And it said $5.
Oh shoot!
Oh wow!
I bought the Black Album, authentic, the real deal, for $5.
Good deal. Very nice.
$5.
Worth a lot now.
Oh, huge. And everybody too, make sure you're cheering for Jill, because she is nominated for upcoming Grammy Awards.
Well, the album.
You're part of it. You're part of it.
You're part of it.
You're part
of it.
Nice.
It's going to be nice. I have a good feeling that that's going to be the one that wins.
I have a strong feeling. So. I hope so too. That is fantastic. Well, all of people don't want to talk about us. They want you to lay down the tracks of what's going on in your country. So let's open the gate. First up, 45 threatens not to sign the $892 billion COVID bill unless the amount to individuals raise.
I don't think that's the sole reason. I think the other reason also is that one ask that he wanted against social media is not there.
But that's involved in the defense one, I think, not this one, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that they threw everything together, and unfortunately, you know, you have to ask yourself, what has Mitch McConnell been doing all these months with all these bills sitting on his desk? And for some, for years, like not the Pakistani one. I think the Pakistani one was in an omnibus from 2 years ago, and he just doesn't approve things. And then, of course, squeezing in the horse racing, the tax deduction for horse owners, and that kind of whatnot, which is basically giving every Saudi a break who owns a farm here in America, tax break.
Jill, I just want to jump in, because you tweeted out something about how much of that proposed bill is going to a certain country.
Oh, 500 million to Israel.
For what?
It was for their kind of defense. They had a wall that somewhere along the way that was being built too. And we paid for that, or we are paying for that. This sort of even dates back to stuff that was happening during Obama's in 2008. I mean, I don't even know anymore, to be honest. I think that one thing America needs to stop doing is clustering all of these bills together, because they call it log rolling. And when we log roll all of our bills here, and that's only because they get more leverage when you log roll. It's like, I'll give you this if you give me that. It was the only way. Whatever we had to give up, it sort of stopped the Republicans, because they were asking for What were they asking for in this bill, Aisha? It was, they wanted to get rid of the federal stimulus. So there's a lot of the crisis management law. So the whole thing is that, we also gave up putting money in our state. Our states weren't getting any of this money. So that's what log rolling creates, these types of situations where everybody's just extorting the other one and leveraging the other and pulling up debt bills that have been sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk for a whole year. And then they go, well, wait, I have this. I'm not 100% sure why at any point anybody thought that giving money to Pakistan for gender programs, for any of the other stuff, I don't think it's appropriate. I think the bill, it was highly insensitive of all of them, and they should have all just held their role, because that was insensitive. It should have just been about the stimulus and that's it. But that's not how America's government works. But we need to stop that in the future. We need to, as people. I don't know what we can do, but we need a bill to be a bill. When I used to watch that Capitol Hill thing, I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill, I didn't see him walking up with a gang of friends. I saw him on his own, not being put in with a group of folks. So no, not right. Sorry, Aisha.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Go ahead, Aisha.
No, it wasn't what they call a clean bill. When they say a clean bill, it literally is what it is. Back in whenever they did the first stimulus, that was a clean bill. Mm-hmm. It was straight stimulus, PPE, the PPP program, and the stimulus checks. And money for states to get their schooling and all that stuff. It was a straight clean bill, for stimulus, just for the COVID. This bill here is a catch-all bill, and they had to. And this is where 45's confusion comes in, because the man's just not right. He says he's vetoing the bill, but is a bit confused because they passed two bills. One bill was to sustain government, to keep the government going, which would have been all the other stuff to keep like the defense going and all of that. Then the other bill was a COVID relief bill, COVID relief package that was, like Jill said, a rolled bill that had other stuff in it.
Right.
When Trump said he was going to veto.
And I'm tired of the Kennedy Center being log rolled each time. That was Nancy Pelosi, and that needs to stop. $40 million. They just got it, and then they laid off their whole symphony orchestra the last time. And I defended her that time, but this time I'm not. No, thank you. They haven't worked all year.
And the Kennedy Center, their money, the money that they raise goes to funding for special needs people. It goes to funding for special needs schools.
That's fine, but they got 200 million or something the last time, and now they're getting another 40, and it's just not right.
Yeah,
it's just not right.
Yeah,
they need to tell us what the Kennedy Center's doing.
So I'm trying to figure out something. Steve Mnuchin, wasn't he negotiating on behalf of the president?
You got to remember, Trump is just getting in this on the ground floor, because Trump has been so preoccupied with trying to overturn the election.
True.
Trump wasn't interested in what was going on in Congress. He wasn't interested in the deal that was being made. That's why the veto, and him saying he wants to veto, and now talking about, unless they do anything other than $2,000 stimulus checks to people, he's not going to sign it. Well, you know what? If he was smart, he would have said that back in August or September. It might have helped him during the election.
That,
it doesn't help him worth a bit of damn now.
Great point. And before we go on, I just want to shout out to a great longtime supporter of the Dr. Vibe show, Claude Diamond. Happy holidays to you and your wonderful family. I was chatting with my dad today, and he said that exact same thing you said, Aisha.
It's true.
It doesn't help him worth a bit of damn now. It is
No.
like, oh, you just had a clearing of the conscience. It's like,
He's not a
so, you
multitasker.
know,
He can't
he's
think and talk and
not.
chew gum at the same time. I mean, he also has a bunch of idiots around him, and it keeps getting slimmer and slimmer with all these defections and people quitting and resigning. And I think that the saddest part of all is that, you know, I had said, not to say I said it, but I didn't think we were going to get it, the money. I
but I'm
didn't
still,
really feel like it was going to happen.
I'm still trying to figure out the Mnuchin angle, because doesn't he communicate back to 45 what's going on?
But that's the whole thing, is that Trump wasn't communicating with
He's
anybody.
not.
You got to remember, he's not communicating with anyone
Anybody.
who's not telling him he cannot get back in the White House. For example, he's communicating with that crazy woman. What's her name? Powell?
Sidney Powell.
Sidney Powell,
Mhm.
who tells him that, you know,
To do
a gang
coup,
of gargoyles is
militia.
going to put him back in office.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
So true.
yeah, like, you know,
So
the Cowardly Lion, like the Wizard of Oz has the power to make him president. This is what he believes. So, you know, he's not talking to people who are in their right minds, like Steve Mnuchin.
No,
And Steve Mnuchin's barely in his right mind.
for
So,
some
you know, he's talking to people who are who have their heads in the clouds, who are telling him what he wants to hear.
For some reason,
not what
today,
is.
they put through a bill, or they put through a filing that they want to sue the Electoral College. But the judge apparently was like, well, when you can serve all of them, please let us know. Do they not know what the Electoral College? That's us. I mean,
Hold on, but not on top of that. Did not the Supreme Court vote all this down?
Yes, but he's going to keep going back. He's going to keep going back until Joe Biden is sworn in. I promise you, tomorrow morning we will wake up and hear that Sidney Powell will be acting AG.
And I also think he will continue this even when Biden is president, because that's his money train. That's his return. He's going to keep saying and fighting in court, because that's what he's done with his buildings, and that's what he's going to do with this. He will always have these dumb people donating money. That's it.
Yeah.
It will be his
that is his grift. That's his grift. That's his post.
He'll always be putting in a lawsuit somewhere. They've all got new jobs. That's their job.
That's the new grift until he is arrested for something.
You know, Aisha, I think I should get a video call going with you and my dad, because he mentioned your favorite girl today too.
Until Tish takes him off the street. That is his new grift.
I said, Dad, I know have a lady that you need to have a conversation with. I say, I have two ladies. Maybe we'll do a private session one day. All four of my dad. Oh my gosh, he would love you guys. He would love you guys. Like, he loves his politics. My goodness, I'm going to set that up over the holidays. I have an offline call with my dad and the two ladies. Oh my. Maybe we'll put it out publicly, but I don't know.
Well, she's presenting very strongly in everything right now. She's sort of like the hovering, you know, the ghost of Christmas future for him. And
right.
She is. Every conversation is always like.
So I want to get back now. So $600 was not going to do anything. Would $2,000 do anything?
Well, you're looking at $2,000 plus there was something in the, I guess, in the Pandemic CARES Act, which would therefore go into unemployment, that would cross into giving people money like $300 every week, which would have sustained some people for a while. The problem is that, you know, because we had 800,
so many people are so far behind.
800,000 people filed new claims, I think, last week.
Yep.
So, you know, our states are also going to run out of money.
Well, see, that's the thing I didn't understand about this package. The states ain't getting any money. So
They aren't.
The states need the money too because the states fund the schools. The states are funding the unemployment claims
Right.
because they're not putting any the federal money. They're not putting any federal money into the unemployment claims. They
No.
get the money. The states disperse the unemployment claims. So if the federal government's not putting the money into the states for the states to disperse the unemployment claims, the states have to take the money from their own budget.
It was only for 11 weeks until I guess Biden gets in. And, you know, the main thing for us is that we have to win the election on the 6th.
We have to win Georgia.
And I'm pretty sure we will. I've seen a lot of stupid people freaking out today. They thought that Pence was going to overturn the electorate today. I don't know why they do. You know, there's so much misinformation. It's just a sea of misinformation online at the moment.
Trump is mad at Pence. Pence is overturning that electorate.
Yeah.
Pence is not overturning that electorate. If Trump's not even speaking to Pence right now, okay?
Yeah.
So lady, is there going to be a stimulus package?
I bet you
doubt
they
it.
cobble something, but there's a strong possibility that there won't be a stimulus package.
What would it say?
They're going back on the 28th. They're going back on the 28th to renegotiate. That's what was breaking news before we got on the air. It was breaking news that they're supposed to go. They're being called back
people will be
on the 28th.
They will be evicted on the 31st, you know, and unemployment runs out for, I don't know, 8 million.
Because think about it. It took them 2 weeks to get. It took them 2 weeks to get it to people the last time.
Our infrastructure,
so that's going past the first year.
This is the other thing.
Go ahead, Jill.
Our infrastructure is horrible, and how money is dispersed here. It's not set up. They have to reset up all of these employment departments have to reprogram all of this and get their questionnaires. It's not like it's going to happen overnight. It sadly isn't.
Question for you ladies. Black Beauty's asking, do you guys think 45s refuse to sign and go on vacation just to cause division?
No, he just doesn't care.
Yeah, I agree with Joe. He doesn't care.
He just doesn't care.
He doesn't care, and he didn't understand that there were two different bills that he needed to sign. Because when you listen to the rhetoric that came out the White House, he didn't understand that he had to sign one bill to continue the federal government and another bill that was a separate COVID.
I often think he plays the games. I think he wanted to get back at Mitch McConnell a little bit. And, you know, it's kind of a real serious game here now of Mitch McConnell saying, I'm done with you. I don't need you anymore. So Trump had to create a situation where it's like, you might need me. He's still going at battles with, I think, one Senator Toomey or whatever, about the fact that he said, I still will control the party, basically, and you will be done like a dead dog in the next races. So he's definitely flexing his muscles. But if people are really hoping for a stimulus, I'm not that confident that there's going to be one.
Where did this stimulus thing go wrong? And who's to blame, if anybody?
Well, they tried 3 times. Remember, the House passed the $3 trillion one, and Trump didn't want to do it. Like I just said, he might have won the election had he done it. But here's the thing. He didn't care about people dying then, and he doesn't care about them now. Now, if they're dying just from starving, he doesn't care. This is a person who pardoned 4 Iraqi people who were convicted.
We'll get to that story. We'll get to that.
Yeah. What would you expect?
If it was anything other than a COVID relief bill, if it had been called anything other than COVID relief, if COVID had not been at the top of this bill, he might have been inclined to sign it. This bill makes it look, to him, makes it look like it's his fault. We don't think that. But
I think that because of the fact that he chimed in with what everybody was saying online, meant he was reading online anyway. People were all pissed about $600. And I think it was calculated that he said, give him 2. This is what, so he wanted to seem like the hero. So everything is calculated. See, I do not think things fly out of this man's mouth just at
Well, I'm not
random.
talking about this bill. I'm talking about the other bills in between. Why he didn't jump in and be the savior then? I think he
There
thought
was
that it
no
would have
need.
really looked. I think, but there was a need though,
He
Jill.
didn't
He
think
needed
there
to
was
win
a
an
need.
election.
He
He needed
he
to win an election, and I think that he thought it was a bad move on his part, politically. I think
could
he
be
thought it was a
true,
bad move.
true, and he played his cards
I
wrong.
think he thought it was, yeah, he played his card wrong.
And now I
I
think he
think
wants to make them amount so high that if the Biden administration comes in and they give anything less than that, then it would look like, they're not as
right,
competent. It's just a game,
right,
and it won't even probably get done because he's so incompetent.
Well,
right.
Real
Because
Dango,
he spent all that time making it seem like the crisis wasn't that bad. So why would he sign a COVID relief package if the crisis wasn't that bad?
It's true, but I don't think his numbskull people actually even go that far in the thinking. They either like him or they don't. I mean, they really, really don't. This is so interesting because the other day I remembered living in New York, and I remembered this story about this girl who I met casually somewhere, and she was friends with a bunch of friends, and people were like, oh, she's really nice. I said, she's a nice girl. And they were like, and I was like, well, what do you mean? So come find out, this nice girl was like a dominatrix, and she did the most horrible things to people and then would wrap it up in a gold package. And it was just a pile of steaming hot. And that's Trump. It is always a pile of steaming hot wrapped in gold. And his followers, I don't know what it is. They, on Parler right now, they have pictures of him as Jesus Christ on the cross. It's so blasphemous. It is disgusting. I won't even share it because I don't want to give it any kind of encouragement. But if you go and visit Parler just for a bit, you will be appalled at the idol worship of these people. They don't care. And they don't care if they're going to be cooking mud for Christmas dinner. They don't care. They don't believe in Jesus. They don't believe in God. They think they do. I mean, even old stupid Pat Robertson came out and had to tell them that it's time to move on. But they don't respect him either. See, this is when these old coots start realizing, this man is in control of everything. Your words mean nothing. You will not come out, Pat Robertson, and sway the nation like you used to. You don't have that power anymore. Another demon came on the block and took it.
So here's a question from Claude on Periscope. Isn't it time to move forward and be positive and creative?
Well, I could write a real creative song about how positive we're supposed to be. But it's a very grim situation. And I don't know if I'm in a state where people are dying like 2 people a minute. It's really hard to maintain. Only the positivity is that you just pray and hope it's not anyone you know or yourself. And that's horrible. We don't even have ICUs. It's very difficult and it's an unforgivable moment of that president. It's unforgivable. And if he walked in the streets of California, if I were leading it, I would encourage everybody to go out and get a kick in, because this is grim. It's bad. We have so many people dying. And yeah, it would be the time to move forward, but what kind of a cold-hearted person do you have to be to think that you can just move forward without properly really grieving and taking in what this year really was about? Death. It was the death squad and the death. So much death. If it had a stench, it would be different. And you know what? Remember we talked about 9/11, and I'm going to tell you something. I think the stench of the flesh that was burning throughout the city created that grief that we all felt. Yeah, there were people and tourists who came, but one thing that everybody could not mistake was this unidentifiable smell that smelled bizarrely foreign, but something was not right with it. And you knew that those were burning bodies. I think with this, You don't see it. The first responders are seeing it. They're seeing black feet, black things, arms, legs falling off. They're seeing all of this. But there's something about the way these people are dying we have to really pay attention to that.
So I want to.
I think moving on.
Go ahead.
I think we the desire is let's move on and be positive. Let's not do that, okay? Because we do that too often in this society. From tragedy to tragedy, we move on, be positive, and literally the next tragedy comes along and we're shocked by it. And why don't we just stay in this moment of this tragedy so that we don't forget this? Because we tend to move on, be positive, and forget the tragedy. Forget the moment.
You're right. And
forget the feeling and forget the hurt and the pain until the next tragedy. That is such an American thing to do. Yeah. Is to move on from tragedy to tragedy. That's how we become desensitized as Americans to things. Think about the mass shootings. That's like we grieve for the moment, and then we get positive and we move on, and then there's another one, and then we're like, oh, let's grieve and move on, and we sit there. Oh, now's not the time to talk about gun control. Well, when is it? When the next tragedy happens, we grieve, we move on, and we decide not to talk about it, and then the next one happens. And then the next one, and then the next one. This is something different here.
I think what was really incredible was, I don't know if many people saw what Joe Biden said today, but in effect, he was saying, we are not out of the woods. We have the worst yet ahead of us, he said. And he also said something which really was almost reminded me of my grandparents or people that I've known in Europe or in England. It was a very British thing to say. It was a very... Winston Churchill kind of philosophy of we need to steel our spines because what we have ahead of us is not good. And I really, really took that to heart because I was like, it's true. There is a time when a leader has to look at people and tell them we need you to be strong. We need you to buck up. And this is a for real situation. And pushing it aside and let's move on like Trump was doing. We have faceless people, and they're all ages, who have died from this horrible disease, and they did not have to. I mean, let's be honest. They said within the first 2 weeks, the Moderna vaccine was essentially created. I don't know if this is a fact, but we had to go through the process of even testing it. We're at that point. We are human. And we're not supposed to be savages. And that's all I see in America at the moment.
Okay. So let's move on to another conversation topic here.
Before we move on, just one last point. And the other reason we can't move on about this is because it's we're not going to be moving on from this till at least 2022. We're stuck in this until at least then.
It is about 2022. We have another year of sitting in our homes and wearing masks and doing this because we were behind the 8 ball deliberately. And she's right. I mean, that is the reality here. And getting back to normal, even reading about Deutsche Bank's CIO made a comment in an article that it's not going to go back to the way you think it's going to go back to, just even on the business level of how people are working. All of these new things have changed and have been modified. So a lot of times what is great about having Biden in office, he's got some amazing people. I think they're aware of the fact that this is coming. Those jobs that some people thought they were going to have, they're not going to exist anymore. They're just gone.
Okay. Real Django saying it's horrible. It's a horrible cycle of people moving on without learning, understanding, or remembering. So let's get to, before we leave this story, 2-part question. Will there be a stimulus package before the end of 2020? Or will there be a stimulus package by the time Biden gets sworn in, or none at all?
I don't think there's going to be one. I think they're going to be limping along for a while. Maybe not till
I think the
2021.
first stimulus package that we'll see will come from Biden.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, but it fell through, as does most things with Trump. And when he doesn't get his way, he doesn't want to be the only one suffering. That's he wants misery loves company, as they say, and that's him. He loves the misery.
He's really upset with the American people right now for not reelecting him.
He knows he lost. Like, no matter what this facade is, he knows.
And he's going to make sure we pay. 85
million of us hate his guts and voted against him. And his odds are, well, the support me are going to still love me. But I'm going to just mess them all up because I know my base is going to love me, but I'm still going to hurt some of the other ones. And that's all he cares about. They'll never turn on him. Even if they were like cooking their boots tonight for dinner, which a few of them might be.
Let's move on to the next conversation piece. He does it again. Vetoes the $740 billion annual U.S. defense bill.
Right.
Why?
Yeah. It's the issue that Aisha said. It's the one about the internet. Yeah. He wants to be able to sue them. This man will stay in court his whole life. In fact, his whole life is about courts. If you look at he sues everybody and they sue him.
Yeah.
That's his story. He creates so much confusion that I don't know why he doesn't set up shop in a courthouse.
Yeah, and part of this too with this defense bill that's just strange is the fact that he's wanting to start all these little fires all over the world and then leave us with no money to defend ourselves.
Right. It's concerning because, now we have the situation in Iran where there were missiles, in Baghdad, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know what to believe anymore because, I'm starting to think that there's nobody working in the White House and there's nobody in the embassies and there's just a hello, yes, putting a hat on. Yes, it's not real. This feels like the worst crazy movie that a writer would never write. It's like, yeah, we know how things can be misconstrued, created. The biggest question for me is we don't want to go into any kind of war situation, but he has left our asses kind of hanging out bare. We don't have open skies anymore. We don't have certain things that we did for the defense of our men and women in the military. And I think he likes that. And he's been pushing for that a lot. And that's really concerning to me. It's like, does he not love anything about America? I mean, it's really like, does he just really not were they like, was the whole family a bunch of damn spies for a long time? Like, I don't know.
So Jill, I just want to update you because you had mentioned about Iran. So I guess reading a story here, 45 warns Iran of retaliation after attacks on U.S. embassy in Baghdad.
Right.
So
of course he's going to do that, and, I just find it really odd that would Iran be doing that in the middle of all of this? Would they? I mean, maybe they would. I'm just kind of like, why would they be doing that? To go into a full-on war with America because he needs a war because he believes that we've never changed presidents during wartime. Well, there's always a first for everything. He was a first. This is a first. It will not stop us from moving forward. If that's the case, I just don't know what to believe from the administration. I don't really believe anything they're saying. I just don't. I almost feel like I need to read what the Iranians are saying to get clarity on, did you do it or was it Israel framing them again? I don't know. With that, that's not inconceivable.
So Claude Diamond saying, I'm getting depressed because guess we're moving to Canada. Is there a room at Dr. Vibe's house?
I know, right? Let's move in.
Aisha, what's going on with this defense bill?
Well, I mean, maybe part of it is because he doesn't want military to be able to have to remove him from the White House.
Who knows?
He doesn't leave.
Who knows? Who knows? But isn't this, as you, both of you have mentioned before, this is the showdown now. It's the showdown now, right? And it's really that all eyes are watching now.
Mm-hmm.
All eyes are watching.
Yeah.
It's a very critical time at the moment.
Well, watch this. He's going to say no to everything at this point.
Yep.
Because he can. He's going to say no to everything. He's going to drop. Well, we're going to get to the pardons, but he's going to drop some really interesting pardons.
He hasn't already? Huh?
No, it's going to get worse. He's gonna do a lot of things now just for shock value and just because he can, because he's on this retribution train, and part of that is the vetoes. He's gonna do a lot of vetoes, all the vetoes that he can do.
They can do an override though on
is
him.
Really angry.
But do you so Aisha and also Jill, do you think that the Republicans are going to override 45?
Probably not.
On this COVID bill, likely. On the COVID bill, likely. On the defense bill, probably as well. Just because that defense bill is what really is going to help keep the government going. And on that COVID bill, because they all want to be reelected in 2 years, they all have political aspirations that go beyond Trump being kicked out on January 20th at noon. So they will want to do that because they all have their eyes on the calendar of January 20th. So I think that they will override him. Will that make him more upset? Yes. Absolutely. How will he react? That we don't know, and that will be something to see.
I know, and it's crazy because even Deutsche Bank is investigating him.
Hold on,
and that's what I mean in terms of how he will shock us. That's going to be one of those vetoes that will shock people.
Right.
Yeah, because didn't the person who handled his affairs at Deutsche Bank, she resigned?
Because
wow.
I think my husband was reading
She's
something.
On Tish James' radar.
Was researching about that and mentioned to me that's going to go down because you got to remember, you say Deutsche Bank and they're the largest bank in the world. I mean, not many people knew that. And what's so crazy is that how crooked they are. Their reputation is absolutely garbage. If you'd have been reading the Twitter feeds on the comments about, you oligarch criminals, that's all you do, you're laundering. I don't even know. I mean, it's bad. So they've had no choice if they want to have a reputation for anything, because just by proximity of doing business with Deutsche Bank, it's a little bit like, you'll always think of them and think of him. And corruption, always, forever, and cartels. That's it. They've done everything.
So, Real Django saying he's going to pardon Bill Cosby, 25th Amendment. Now, Lord Jesus Christ, Superstar.
Is he really?
Who knows?
No, but he is going to pardon that lady from Deutsche Bank.
I heard they hated each other.
He is going to pardon that lady from Deutsche Bank, though.
What lady from Deutsche Bank?
Oh God, what is her name?
Because his banker was not up for it. She just was the woman who'd been servicing his money for all these years, and she quit. Or she resigned.
Yeah,
and everybody was saying she should move to a basement apartment. That's what they were saying. Internet is cruel. Cruel.
So before we move on,
there will be a pardon from someone from that bank. I promise you.
Okay. Because the first two stories are related, and I want to thank everyone who's watching this live because the comments are coming in. Bring them in. Love they're coming in from all different platforms, so appreciate it and don't take it for granted. You're listening to Stagger State of Things, the December 23rd edition with Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones and a whole pile of people watching. So it's all good. Next up, Well, no. So you talked about the stimulus. You don't think it's going to happen. What about the state of this defense bill? Is this going to happen?
Probably not.
I don't think so, because the truth is that these two bills needed to happen between today and tomorrow.
Wow.
And I don't know why they all can't get on Zoom and deal with this personally. Why do they have to? What's the point? I mean, here these people are with their monies. Not one of them, not one senator, not one congressperson volunteered or donated, or I saw giving away their money to people. I don't understand it. And most of them don't even need their salaries anymore because they've got their stock shares. They're doing quite well. Not one on the Dem side or the whatever that other party's called now, the Trump party. It's pretty horrific. I mean, seriously, not one said, I'm giving $50,000 to a family, or I'm going to break it up for 5 families on the block, or whatever.
And
screw the
charities. Or said, divvy up my $176,000 up by 600, however many ways that is.
Exactly. However many ways, or let me, and to be so vocal about it that they get the other ones to pile on top of that. Mm-hmm. That would show me the sincerity of your heart. But mm-hmm. They're all going to have good dinners, and their family members are going to get presents, and they're all going to feel really bad. And it's tiring. But the saddest part of all, Dr. Vibe, is that my votes are seriously not in the future, are not party dominant anymore. And you'll get my vote if I just think that you're for real. It's not going to be like party stuff anymore at all, ever again. And some of the old people, the old birds, they need to go. They really just do. It's time to let the young, it's time for, I think it's great. What I do like about Biden, he knows he's older. He's brought in a lot of younger people. There's a lot of mentoring going on in this. There's an exchange. There's an exchange of ideas. That's what's important. But, like Dianne Feinstein or whatever her name, I don't even think she's, going to leave the state of California anymore, whatever she's dealing with. It's time. It's time to start passing the baton to the younger people. And you can observe and help them along the way in whatever they're going to come up against as we start to filter these other ones out. But damn, if we don't have to get rid of the Trump people, the young and the old, and then deal with our own problems in the Democratic Party. It's just time. It just is. But I am hopeful with the Biden future of this thing, because I do believe that he sees what's coming and people need to be on board. And I think they have in their mind who the stars are of their parties, and they're going to work with them. It's like anybody in a school. It's you see the stars, you know who they are.
All right. Well, let's move on to probably the one we'll get probably the most intense commentary all night. 45 goes on pardon spree for Republican allies, Blackwater guards, Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, and Charles Kushner, amongst others.
This man represents our country. And what the Blackwater guards is a big FU to the military that convicted them, to the courts, to, it is a real big finger to every single agency. All of these pardons are really just to break the back and to say, I have the power and I will destroy. I have the power to destroy. I have no respect for not one sector of your government or your law and order. This is why this is so horrible. It's disgusting. And talk about criminals. You are literally watching all of them get off. It's a sad day.
Aisha?
Roger Stone was one that I actually didn't see coming. I thought that since he commuted the sentence or whatever, that he wasn't going to necessarily pardon him. But Charles Kushner, that his father, the father-in-law, that just, so now he's going to pardon the kids, right?
It
No,
still
he's going
won't
to pardon
prevent
the
them.
kid.
The thing is with the pardons, though, when you accept a pardon, and I wasn't aware of this, I was watching some things today, and they were saying that when you accept, this has never happened before, by
Yeah,
the
this
way.
is the good part.
When you accept a pardon, you are actually accepting your guilt. You are taking that is like you are
Yep.
making atonement for your guilt, right? However,
Yep.
it will stop you from ever being able to claim the Fifth Amendment if you're ever called again,
Yep.
and for state charges. So, you know, my husband was asking me, he goes, well, pardons in the past. So why didn't the states move in then and go after the people who'd been pardoned? And I was like, I guess it was that they respected the office of the president. It was kind of like, well, if he thinks he's there, you know, and there were some people who did, their sentences were commuted. Pardons are a little bit interesting because this is a pre-pardons he wants to do as well. So the minute that you accept it, you are claiming your guilt for whatever he has given to you. And that will only strengthen as evidence Letitia James' case against any of those Roger Stones and all of them. And the next time they go to court, which she would have the right, or any AG could pull them into court, if they don't answer the questions, they will go to jail. It's like they will, and it will not be, and it won't be federal. It won't be a federal jail. It ain't going to be it's going to be state. So that's a different thing. So it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these people move out of the country.
Yeah, Mike Pence is already talking about it. About the first place he's leaving and going to is like India when for a vacation when they get out of when they leave. That's like he's like taking off and going to India like after the inauguration. Right. But yeah, like Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, it's going to be interesting because they can be called, they can be subpoenaed. And all of Trump's kids can be subpoenaed if he pardons them to testify against Trump. And again, they can't plead the Fifth to protect themselves. So they'll have to out all of the stuff that they've done
about each other. They say that Rudy Giuliani particularly really wants his because there is a serious state case happening. The investigation is serious. And it's no joke. And he is very well aware because he's probably got old friends or moles telling him, but Rudy's in trouble. And he, you know, I guess the main thing now is he needs to find out what he needs to be pardoned for, but it's not going to stop these state charges. Yeah. It's just not.
And Rudy's stuff is not just federal. He did a lot of state stuff.
That's what they're.
So we got.
And the kids have a lot of tax issues. So it's like they also, what are you going to preclude what are you going to pardon people for? I need you to pardon them. What is it? Just for everything they ever did bad? Is that what it's going to be? Or is it specific?
But he's going to do blanket pardons.
But here's another point. Let's not forget when Bob Rich was pardoned, I heard this too. Another woman brought it up. Our Congress did investigate that to make sure that Bill Clinton, when he decided that Denise Rich wasn't giving, remember, the thing was Denise Rich was giving it was a quid pro quo. Like if you donate $1 million to my campaign. So at any time, if they think that these pardons were basically spoken to, emailed, there was a conversation about them beforehand when Bob Mueller was interviewing them, that there's some kind of evidence to prove that they spoke about him saying, don't worry, I got your back later. In fact, I think even he said it on emails about certain things. That is admissible, and that will come back to bite them all, because then he can be investigated for that. And that is wrong, because it becomes a quid pro quo. Like if you donate to me, I'll give you a pardon. That's what he's always done. And it might be the one thing that finally gets him. But if they find the evidence.
I saw Claude's comment on Harvey Weinstein. And I wouldn't be surprised if he pardoned Harvey Weinstein.
That would be something.
I would not be surprised.
I know. It wouldn't surprise me either.
Wow. So do we think eventually, or do you think eventually he will pardon his kids and himself?
I think he's just trying to figure out how he's going to pardon them and what kind of trick bag he's going to be putting them in.
I think he'll pardon his kids. He won't have a hard time. He won't have trouble with that. I think what he's the issue he's having right now is figuring out how to pardon himself. He's trying to figure that out. How do I pardon myself?
Real dangle. New York State Attorney General Letitia James is going to rip all of these. I'm not going to say.
Letitia James knows how. Look, Letitia James knows how she's going to get all of them in civil court. She's working on how to get them in criminal court.
Yeah, I mean, Cyrus Vance has been on this for a long time. Isn't he still doing this? And
yes, she has somebody on it.
Yeah, she's
had somebody on it for a while.
Yeah, I think that,
and I love it. I love every minute of it.
They're looking at, and that's one of the reasons why, if you move to Florida, what's important is most people forget that Florida is one of those states. Like that's why the family, when O.J. Simpson killed Nicole Brown Simpson, none of them could touch his assets in Florida because that's just the way the laws are set up there for protecting some of your things. So I would imagine Trump has a lot of moving and shaking going on with some of his operating agreements.
But it's so disappointing from my end that you are pardoning people who lied, to admitted lying.
They're murderers, and they're murderers. Murderers.
Like, what sort of moral conduct?
He doesn't.
He has no moral compass.
No.
He has no moral compass.
And let's not forget, these people have known him for ages. And the bigger question is, he'd be a fool not to. What do they have on him?
True.
Yep.
These are old friends. You know, you got old friends. You may not even like them anymore, but you know they got something on you. These old dogs have been catting around town in New York, nightlife. Roger Stone for sure. He was going to pardon them. Oh, yeah. Yes,
because Roger Stone was going to talk.
Absolutely. And I think that Manafort as well might have been getting fed up in there. Because he even has a new wig on when they were escorting him out today. It wasn't all white. At one point it was like, they let him have a new wig.
All right, let's move on.
Botox.
Let's move on. So, and I'll talk a little bit of coronavirus, but Aisha brought this up in a very interesting take. Members of Congress are smiling for cameras as they get their coronavirus vaccine shots, while one American dies of the virus every minute.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with like Nancy Pelosi getting hers, even Mitch McConnell for the continuation of government, because they are the continuation of government and their ages. But Marco Rubio, who sat up there talking about it was a hoax. Joni Ernst, even on the Democratic side, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is 30. Okay?
Yeah.
She's not in the high risk category.
Right.
There are first responders who have not gotten theirs yet. And over 100 members of Congress have gotten vaccinated. And you still have people, doctors, nurses, people in the medical profession who are still like waiting on getting vaccinated.
Yeah, and let's not forget. Let's not forget. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were like, "Well, you know, they're closing Congress," and I was like, "They could go on Zoom and do it." Well, they were all in person. Yeah, they were in person because last week they all got shots. They were there getting their shots. It wasn't for us. They knew they needed their shots. And when you put it into context like that, and then you say, well, why can't they go on Zoom and sort this out? Why isn't that made? First of all, why aren't those negotiations made public going forward? Why can't we all just watch that, how it goes down? Because I think we've passed the point now. We have the technology, we have the capabilities. Let's watch you all negotiate our lives. I think it's only fair. I think it's respectful, and I think I'm done with this behind the scenes wheeling and dealing and the whips. I'm sick of it. Let us watch you. Let's see what you're saying about us. And then they go and they get their shots. There's something wrong with that. You're right.
Yeah. And it really bothered me because, I'm sitting in a state here where they're waiting for something like 26,000 shots for first responders. Doctors, nurses, firefighters, police officers, people who have to be out there, the first people who are called when someone needs an ambulance or medical attention. And Chris Murphy got his shot. Senator Chris Murphy got his shot.
Yeah. People who said it was a hoax and they didn't believe in it, I think they should have been last.
Right. And not only that, but think about this too. They're
If
also
anything,
taking
I think they should
the shots away from the people.
I think they should have given them an option and said, you can either donate your shot to someone else or you can take it. Since you said it was a hoax, we know you aren't that keen on this. Would you like us to donate it? And I think it should have been a public thing, because until we start holding these people's feet literally to the fire, they're going to continue to be these hypocrites. But
it's not even the ones that said it was a hoax. That's hypocrisy. But the ones who said that they would wait, because they were the Democrats who said they would wait until after first responders got theirs and didn't. That bothered me too.
I mean,
that really bothered me.
Hey, we've all seen people run over each other. It's called survival of the fittest, which is why I believe that some of these things need to be made public. I do not think that people being unable to hear or see what Congress is doing, I don't like that anymore. We don't live in that age. We should be able to see and hear what you're speaking about.
Yeah. And their excuse is that, well, now this means I'm taking it because I think that I'm such a good role model for my district. And so people in my district, if they see me taking it, they'll go out and take it. I'm thinking that if the people in your district see you taking it and hearing that the first responders, the medical professionals, aren't getting it and still having to go take care of hundreds of patients who are sick and their PPE hasn't been updated, that they're not too happy.
I mean, I see that side of it too, but I'm not 100% sure that wasn't entirely incorrect of them either, because I was on a call the other night. It's a new platform and I could hear people talking, and I'll tell you guys all about it later, but our people, our American Black folks.
Can I just interrupt? Is it an audio only platform?
Yeah, you talk.
Okay, we won't go. We'll talk after. I know what you're talking about.
Thing. To hear how ignorant some of our people are sounding, it made me want to go and start passing. The stuff that they're saying.
That's another conversation too.
No, but it's like filtering all these are little pockets where you're hearing people saying really giving this misinformation, these old handed down mythical myths. It's really bad. It's frightening. And I do joke about passing, but I am going to say that it's mythic. There's some things, and there's people who talk about having children in prison and they know the whole deal because they were told about the conspiracy theories. It's frightening that these things are allowed to persist. And yeah, maybe they do need. The problem is, let's not forget, these people don't accept or respect authority. They don't trust it. They think that Donald Trump was out there to help them too. It's so frightening. I can't even say. They may have needed to see people get the shot. Not that it's going to help. My point is, if you don't want it, don't do it. I really don't get more. I really don't. Because there's many other people that need it. They want it, and we'll just move on from it. I just really don't have it in me anymore. It's been a whole damn year of dealing with these people. Just don't freaking get it. Bye.
Yeah.
And stop
this is why this virus is going to last.
They infect other people with their ignorance. And I just don't want it anymore. It's like we live here.
This is why the virus is going to last beyond 2022.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're going to be dealing with it this month.
I know.
All right. Let's move forward on our next conversation piece. And we've got this one. And welcome to Birdie Lynn. Thanks for chiming in. Also, California Secretary of State Alex Padilla to fill Kamala Harris's Senate seat. Ladies, your thoughts?
I think he's a good choice. What I didn't like was the question. When he was asked a very direct question today about filling that Senate seat in lieu of a Black woman being asked to fill the Senate seat, and what it means now that there will be no Black women in the Senate at all. It was just his answer to the question was that I hope to I'm going to represent everyone, but the question was not will you represent everyone. The question was how do you think we should go about making it more equitable so that there are opportunities for Black women to get into the Senate. And it was his answer is just quite.
But I don't think you can answer that. I think it is like all those folks I heard on the audio thing. They need to vote.
Right.
We are not the majority in this country. As you know, Black people in America are the oppressed group, and they're getting dumber by, sorry to say it, a lot of them. If you all check this stuff out, your mind will be blown. They're not voting. Not in California. You would have thought that this was 1945 in Mississippi. I had no idea how many ignorant people can barely speak, can barely formulate sentences, and someone needs to have the conversation. It's really true. I mean, the day I'm going to be like sitting up here continually backpedaling and soft stroking it for people who have kind of milked the system sometimes this year. I'm a victim, I'm Black, I can't do this. Screw you. You don't even vote. And then you go to jail and you come back and all of a sudden you're like Malcolm X, and you're not. There's something that some people, I don't know if it's the diet, I don't know if it's just brain cell capacity is going. I have no idea, but I was so angry from this audio. And as you can see, I'm still very angry about it. Mm-hmm. Poor education, poor misinformation. We don't have Black women in our Senate or in places because our people are not voting. And the stronger ones of us in the community are carrying these deadbeats on our back. And I'm freaking sick of it. And I'm not going to keep like making excuses for it. Pull your weight. Pull your weight. Like, you know, Alex Padilla represents the Latin American people, the Spanish people in this state. Yeah, he should be representing that spot. Why? Because that demographic is voting. They're working. They're pushing. I'm not saying Black people aren't doing these things, but we got a lot of stuff. It's like we're swimming in water and somebody's put concrete on our feet. We're going to worry about Black women. We got to worry about ourselves. They are not, it's a shame. We got to worry about the education system. First of all,
for me,
everyone was so mad that Kamala had the situation about kids going to school and going after their parents. And they thought that was just horrible. I loved it. I wish she had have gotten to do it. I wish she had, because we have a lot of people giving a lot of lip service and excuses. And either we talk about moving forward, Claude. Yeah, we move forward and we're going to have to leave some people in the dust, sadly. We will have more Black people and women in the Senate because it's not about voting for their color. It's about women supporting other women and liking the viewpoints. It can't all just be about we need this equal ratio. Do the job. Speak for the future. Who else was there? I like Maxine Waters, but come on. Who else do we have as a choice? Barbara Barry? I mean, where are young women? Where are they here in California?
for me, I think the answer to the question was because it was between him, Bass, and I forgot who the other woman was. The
Barbara
answer to the question was very simple. They didn't want to pull. They didn't want to pull from the House because we need those women in the House. Because we need our power.
And Karen Bass is in my friend's district, and she's amazing. Karen Bass is amazing. But don't forget, you know, everybody almost dragged her down because she went down to Cuba once when she was 19. I mean, we have such a long way to go. But more importantly,
but no, the thing is, as Democrats, we need to keep our power where it is. Period.
We do.
And I think the question.
We don't have a big selection here in California that I'm aware of at the moment of young women that aren't showing up with 15-inch nails and their Instagram portfolio.
Julia had to go there.
Well, we got that one in Baltimore. She's doing that. I mean, it's kind of absurd. Let's just be honest. It's absurd.
What's the woman from London? That was the other person that they were looking at was London.
I mean, Alex Padilla's been here for a while. I mean, he isn't my favorite, but he isn't like the worst either. I mean, we just really haven't had, moving them is critical too. Moving them from blocks is bad.
Look at Real Django saying lack of education, lack of goal-minded Black people showing young Black people how to succeed in America.
Oh no, they had Ice Cube chomping his gums. You know, yeah, remember that? And Lil Wayne, who's now, going to prison for gun possession. Good thing he got that $1 million when he endorsed
did he
Trump.
Really?
Yeah, he's going to jail, they say.
Again?
Or he needed that money for his defense. I mean, this is where we are. And, you know, it's never ending. But today I feel like I've turned into James Brown talking about our community. Because he was rough. James was a Republican. He didn't play that feel sorry stuff. And there is something to be said for coddling too much. And then there's something to be said for, we do have some amazing young activist kids out here doing stuff. They need to be lifted and moved into these positions, you know, but I'll be damned if I'm going to keep hearing about, you know, this nonsense. So we don't have a woman, any Black women in the Senate. Get up and vote. We got Stacey Abrams breaking her back to make this thing happen. Georgia has set people on fire, but Georgia's always had a very large group of intelligent people. I just think folks who came out to the Wild West are questionable, white and Black.
Now, here's my opinion on this. I always thought he was going to choose Becerra, but Biden swooped up Becerra first.
Right. Okay. Well, last conversation piece for tonight is not about Blacks. It's about Andrew Yang planning to run for New York City mayor, and he files people. This is interesting.
Exciting, right? I mean, I think he's probably, it's a progressive kind of city. I think it has its old traditions, but I also know that the people are open. If they're still able to travel within, you get a very cosmopolitan group. But I also think he knows the needs, and he could grow there. I think he could grow. Give him a couple of terms, and he would be really open up some new measures. We'll see who else he's running against. I think there's another finance person.
Maya Wiley.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Maya Wiley's one of the other people running.
Is de Blasio running again, or is he not going to run?
Hell no. He better be running out.
He's not.
He better be running out of New York. He was terrible.
No, he's not.
He's awful.
He's
not. Race to watch.
I believe, don't they have term limits in New York City?
It's like 2 term. Remember, but Bloomberg got 3 because we just had Bloomberg for 3, which was, I forget why, but I really liked Bloomberg.
Yeah, so Maya Wiley's running, so I think that that Yang might have a hard race against her. Because she's very well liked.
It's going to be a very, very, very interesting race. We'll
see. I mean, if people can get beyond he's he's very nerdy and he's kind of geeky, but his solutions are pretty solid, I think.
I think he can easily get the young people vote.
He will.
Yeah.
That's who he's going to get. And I'll tell you guys something. In all honesty, the sooner that the young people actually come out and just take over our generation, sad to say, is when we get to see what America is going to become in the future, which is why it's very important to stop, to start trying to mentor a little bit in different places and have good values. I don't think the young people have terrible values. Some of these young ones coming up, I think they're tired of the nepotism as much as I am. Yeah. I think they're looking to really make a difference. And I do think that because we raised them, as a boomer mom, I raised my kids to equal, share your lunch, do this, do that. This is the result of it. And I'm proud of that. I mean, but my generation, please kick us to the curb. We're not that good because we can't handle getting old. We can't handle not having any money. We sold ourselves out. Now everybody, I'm in the stock market. And it's like everybody, I don't know. There were only a few mavericks in the game back in the day.
Oh, kick us to the curb.
Say, please,
kick us to the curb.
To a degree, it really has to, because I've literally seen friends turn into their parents. And I never thought I would see that. And I know that happens with every generation, but it's frightening. And in our community, we have to educate our people. The boomers abandoned the Black community on a huge level and abandoned them big time. Little selfish. Boomers were a bit selfish. And this is why I think there's this big gap in the education. It's really big. Now everybody wants to come around and be all talking all bad, but we kind of dropped the ball on that. We were so busy making records or being this or going out and getting on Wall Street, all the new strides, but it wasn't all that beneficial for the people that we left behind who raised children. We're talking a couple generations in between there that we're seeing the result of just, what it's like to grow up in abject poverty, while the rest of our community was booming. We had a lot of African Americans do incredibly well in my generation alone, financially incredibly well, unlike no other era.
All right, that's it for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, as usual, the ladies dropped their knowledge bombs. I hope you survived. Look at this. And here's a really nice comment. I'm so glad I tuned in to listen. I don't know a lot about politics, but I'm learning. There you go.
Thanks.
That is a beautiful, thank you, Black Beauty. That is fantastic. We want people to be better after each one of these conversations. As always, I'd like to thank Jill and Aisha for taking their time out of their positive, productive schedule. Ms. Jones, how can people reach out to you?
Jill D. Jones at Twitter, or Jill Jones Music on Facebook or Instagram. Instagram's kind of chill these days, fortunately. Nice pictures, nice vibes.
All right, nice. And Aisha?
At Aisha, capital AISHA, Staggers, capital STAGGERS. At Twitter is the best way.
Excellent. And myself, if you want to reach me, the best place you can go to is the drvibeshow.com. You can find me on Twitter at drvibeshow. I'm on Facebook, YouTube. You can email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And if you choose, if you're watching this, we'd love you to fill out a quick little survey to give us feedback and suggestions for future conversations. Now, speaking about future conversations, we're broadcasting this live on the 23rd of December. You think, okay, they're going to go take a break. No. We ain't taking no break. We got one more conversation before the end of the year, folks. We're going to be doing our year ender, and that is not to be missed. and it's going to be happening on Monday, December 28th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The ladies have already put the funny story. Jill thought tonight was the year ender, and she's got a pile of stories ready already for it. And I said, Jill, whoa.
We're still like, oh yeah.
Jill's just like, whoa. But I'll tell you, the one she put down, they're all solid. I don't know how they're gonna have to sell it amongst themselves. They're gonna have to sell it among themselves.
Have to talk about that.
You got because there's so much to talk about but we can even take this month. The last 45 days could be a year ender.
It's true.
The last 45 days could be a year ender. So make sure you got it locked. I'll be putting it up on Facebook and YouTube probably in the next few days, but you'll hear it from us, and follow us all on our social media platforms. Please do that, especially with the ladies. They are well lubed when it comes to Twitter. I thought they are well lubed when it comes to Twitter. So I just like to say thanks to everyone who caught us tonight live. Birdie Lynn, Black Beauty, Rio Django, Claude Diamond, and other people. If I didn't mention you live, it's because of my head, not my heart. As always, I like to end off with this when I shut it down. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Remember to give yourself grace. And finally, love, faith, and respect. Take care, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you and hearing you on the 28th of December, 9 p.m. Not to be missed. Good night.